for that highlight. Joining us now is former Chicago Bears safety and an alumnus of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Doug Plank joins us now on the Right to the guest line here on Fox Sports 910. Doug, it's Rock along with Manooch, Jimmy B. How you making out? Happy New Year.
Boy, you guys are ganging up on me here. I don't know. Hey, listen, this is some exciting stuff we're watching. I know your team may not be winning, but this is dramatic football. I mean, these are great plays, and it's astounding just some of the surprises today.
Doug, what was your favorite game over the weekend?
I think that one between Dallas. I mean, Dallas has been although they weren't in our conference, playing for Chicago, they were always a team that, you had to go to the playoffs for them every year. And, we never beat them in any playoff situation. We never beat them in any, especially at home. They were like incredibly tough. They didn't make mistakes. That's what makes this game today so incredible. The streak is broken. The fact that, they're being, playing the wild card and, and then still looking like they did. I don't have any explanation for it.
Well, I was going to say, Doug, a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans would love an explanation for what didn't happen. But when you watched Green Bay and how they struggled the first half of the year, and then they went 6 out of 7 games just to get in to the playoffs as a 7 seed, isn't there a lot to be said about those teams that have had to fight for their playoff lives week in and week out? Once they get to the playoffs, they're already seasoned or conditioned that way mentally?
Dan, I think you hit it right on the head. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's how these teams are judged. And you look at the Green Bay Packers, oh my gosh, what a team. Just looking at the records, before and after, the start of the season, finishing up at the end. Jordan Love halfway through had 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. Last 9 games, 71%. I mean, he was playing at an incredible high. And you just look at where their team was, and what they became at the end. It's an incredible. I have to give so much credit to them. Just watching this game, I've never seen in playoffs. I've never seen receivers open this much.
Yes.
Nobody around them. 10 yards. The running backs just running over defenders. I think this is the first time that a first place team in the playoffs has lost to a wild card. And it's incredible. It's so much fun to watch football this weekend.
Doug, I want to pick your brain a little bit, being a former guy that was in the defensive backfield for the Bears. Generally, when you get a rookie quarterback, normally the experienced guys are going to come out on top. That was not the case in the Houston-Cleveland game. How good, in your estimation, is C.J. Stroud? And how were they able, meaning the Texans, to pick apart Cleveland's defense?
When you I have to agree with you. I think from a quarterback standpoint, I don't want to say he's my favorite, Dan. Probably better to speak on that topic. But for a young quarterback to have the skills that he has, not only in throwing the football, with the accuracy and quickness, he just seems like he's totally controlled. The other thing, too, is you can tell that's the team following the quarterback. And, this isn't a surprise. I mean, this guy has been doing this all through this season. And, why would the playoffs be any different? He just came out. He was spectacular. I mean, I guess I don't want to overuse the word, but these games, these last couple days, they've been spectacular. There's been players in those games that are playing, way, way above everybody else, and certainly he's one of them.
Doug, and on top of that, when you look at all these quarterbacks, every one of them that play, maybe except for Goff, are dual threat quarterbacks. So you just talked about the running game coming out strong, but also as a dual threat quarterback for all, let's say 3 out of the 4 that won. How much of a pain is that as far as prepping for some of these games from that defense that Jimmy alluded to from near safety spot?
It's really difficult, Dan, especially at the safety position, because a lot of times you have a big responsibility. You're in the middle of the field. You're supposed to help out the cornerbacks, but you have to have spectacular play. But here's one time. I remember being coached in Chicago by a defensive backfield coach, and he said, "We are here to pick up on the offensive mistakes." He said, if they run a play perfectly, we can't stop them. And I think that's what you're seeing this weekend, Dan. You're seeing some plays that were performed perfectly. Some of those slam patterns, the receptions by the receivers, I'm just astounded. I was watching this, trying to put myself in the free safety position. What would I have done? Would I be going for the ball or trying to make the tackle? And I think, in all those cases, those were just spectacular plays that were going to work no matter who was going to be on defense.
Doug Plank is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Okay, let me follow up then with what was the best game last night, and that was the Detroit Rams game. Doug, in your estimation, was in the way that Detroit took care of business in that first half, 3 consecutive drives getting points on the board, and then the Rams at halftime defensively made great adjustments and held them to 3 points, is, in your estimation, as a defensive guy, one of the better defensive coaching jobs that you have seen?
I think the way that they slowed the Lions down the second half, I thought that was pretty spectacular. At the same time, when you start looking at what team has leads, to some degree, the defense is going to play softer on the teams with the lead. And I think you saw that even in this Dallas game. The defensive players, they were more cautious. They were playing it safer. I was not crazy. I felt a tear in my eye socket at the end of that game for Detroit. You know what? I realized just what they had just done, and the unbelievable joy to a city that needed it, like Detroit does more than I don't care any other country or city in this country. I was just so proud to watch them, and because they were losers when I was playing in Chicago, and it's just so great. And especially to win the way they did. It wasn't an easy game to play. But that team, the changes that they made, the coaching staff, the players, that whole organization, boy, I felt like running on the field and hugging somebody. Because it looked like a college game, like winning a Rose Bowl or national championship. They were that excited about winning that football game.
Doug, as we let you go, Buffalo's up 21-0 with 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. But for tonight's Eagles-Bucks game, who do you like?
It's hard to. I would say right off the bat, Eagles. But you know what? They've scared me a couple times the last couple of weeks. I don't know who they are. Honestly, if that team shows up, then they're going to lose. If the team that shows up that can move the ball, move all 22 players on the field simultaneously down the field, then the Eagles are going to win. But I just think that, you got to give some credit, to their opposition too. I mean, that team has fought hard all season long, to get in the playoffs. And, but it's hard to go against the Eagles just because of the experience they've had in the playoffs. And I'll go with the Eagles.
All right, I hope you're right. Doug, thanks for jumping on with us today. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
That's Doug Plank. You can follow him on Twitter or X, Doug Plank 46, of course. This is Buddy Ryan 46 defense named after Doug Plank. Coming up, first of all, he is brought to you today by the Sportsbook where we are at today in Casino, Arizona, the CAC Sportsbook. It's a sports fan's paradise. Bet the game, watch the game, the Sportsbook here at the CAZ Sports Bar. They got 3 live betting windows, 6 self-service betting kiosks, plus 8 screens displaying all the betting lines. So check it out for yourself. Open daily from 8 to 11. Coming up, we'll tell you what's on tap tonight, plus the results of our State 48 Roofing It's